Hello. Welcome to today's edition of Then and Now. Today, we're talking about an incredible country with a fascinating culture and a long history going back over 5,000 years. China is incredibly rich in art and culture, and its food and traditions are well known around the world. But two aspects of China are perhaps less well known. First, this vast country has a long history of inventing things. Second, in recent years, China has started to flourish as an important global economy with ultra-modern cities and many booming industries. Today, we've got China expert Sandra Celaya here to tell us about this flourishing land of invention. Hello, Sandra.
Hello.
Well, this show is called Then and Now. So, let's start with then. China's history and this idea of a land of invention. Well, I knew that the Chinese invented paper, but I must admit I didn't know that they invented so many other important things. Before we talk about those, can you remind us about the story of paper?
Yes, it was in 105 A.D. that papermaking was perfected in China. Actually, the first paper was made of silk. Well, it was really the waste from silk making, which they pulped up to make paper.
And paper had an enormous impact on China, didn't it?
Yes, with paper and then printing, it meant people could get information much more easily.
So, what else did the Chinese invent?
Well, a number of simple but important things. I think one of the simplest inventions was the wheelbarrow, invented around 220 A.D., which meant that large loads could be carried by just one person. And the Chinese invented a host of other things that we take for granted today, like silk, porcelain, the kite, and even the umbrella.
And we have the Chinese to thank for fireworks, don't we?
Yes, that's right. In the 8th century, the Chinese discovered gunpowder, and by the 10th century, it was being used to make fireworks, guns, rockets, and bombs. So it eventually had a huge influence on the whole world. Another major invention was a machine for making cast iron, which they first developed in the 6th century B.C.
Wow, that really is a long time ago. That must have made a big difference to people's lives, too.
That's right. A lot of iron was used for agricultural tools, so production really increased after that. Which brings us quite nicely to the present, to the now, to present-day China.
Is agriculture production big in China now?
Well, yes. There's a lot of agriculture. About 10% of the economy is based on agriculture. You know, things like rice, tea, cotton, and fish. But it's certainly not just countryside and agriculture. There are some huge modern cities like Shanghai. And industry is huge in China now. It accounts for about 46% of the nation's economy. Steel production is a large part of that and is expanding all the time.
That's certainly a booming industry. So what other industries are important in China now?
Well, as you know, so many of the things people buy are made in China. Industrial production accounts for about half of China's economic wealth, including such consumer items as toys, clothes, shoes, cars, and electronics, as well as the heavier industrial products like iron and steel. China is the #1 exporter of steel in the world.